Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the delivery boy Tony Cheney coming at you from the Garden State of New Jersey. And if you want to find the delivery boy, you go on Twitter at TonyCheney96. You go on Instagram at Tony Cheney. If you go to Pro Wrestling Tees, you go to the delivery boy's shop, you'll find all the best merchandise, including a shirt just like this one. And if you go on YouTube, you can find all the greatest content on Tony Cheney's official channel. But right now you're watching Wrestling with Regret.
In the before time, the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony was an annual tradition in the days before WrestleMania. With or without the pomp and circumstance this year, though, the Hall remains one of the most disagreed upon things about WWE. Seems that every year there's some big debate on whether or not the newest inductee, quote, deserves to be inducted, or arguments over who got snubbed. Let's face it, the Hall isn't perfect, but there's perhaps no greater source of controversy within the Hall of Fame than the celebrity wing. See, while the wrestlers inducted have spent their lives sacrificing and honing their craft to earn their legendary status, many of the celebrity inductees have been met with scorn by hardcore fans because they're often being celebrated for no more than 1 or 2 appearances on television and pay-per-view, and that's it. Since the Hall of Fame's return in 2004, 10 celebrities have been welcomed into Vince McMahon's personal hallowed halls. Now, in the past, I've talked about some celebs who should be in the Hall, but I've never taken the time to give my thoughts on the actual occupants and just how worthy they are of being in there, how much they added to the product, and how memorable their moments were. So with that in mind, this week, I'm going to rank them the top 8 most deserving celebrities in the WWE Hall of Fame. As for the other 2 who are cut, Kid Rock and Snoop Dogg, I'm sorry, you're the weakest link. Goodbye. Hey, when's she getting in?
Stone Cold. Why should we know you?
What?
Number 8. Drew Carey. The star of his long-running self-titled sitcom, as well as the American version of Whose Line Is It Anyway, comedian Drew Carey seemed to be a curious cameo at the 2001 Royal Rumble. Making an appearance to promote his upcoming improv comedy All-Stars pay-per-view the following weekend, Carey was caught trying to hit on Trish Stratus backstage. That didn't sit well with Trish's flame, Mr. McMahon, who was able to convince Drew to enter the Rumble match as a competitor. The sudden lineup change meant a lost opportunity for poor D'Lo Brown and Chaz. Man, that's low down.
Drew Curry.
Entering at number 5, Drew had the ring all to himself when the Hardy Boys took themselves out, until he was hit with a big red smack of reality in the form of Kane. Raven saved the comic from certain doom, allowing Carey to eliminate himself, and 10 years later, that one step in the ring earned him 1 ticket to the Hall of Fame. Because of the brief and singular nature of his appearance, Drew can't muster anything better than 8th on this countdown. I mean, even his Price is Right predecessor had a better one-time cameo. But it was one of the more memorable moments of an already epic Rumble match, one of the last great shows of the Attitude Era. And it didn't hurt that at the time, Carrey was a namesake of a network sitcom that was drawing 3 times the ratings than that of Raw, so his appearance was a nice feather in the cap for the World Wrestling Federation. Given the fact there's a certain level of improv skill needed to succeed in professional wrestling, maybe Drew Carey was more of a natural for the squared circle than we give him credit for. Number 7. William the Refrigerator Perry. As one of the biggest stars of the Super Bowl winning 1985 Chicago Bears, second only to Mongo obviously, William Perry brought an added level of sports authenticity to WrestleMania 2, appearing in that year's 20-man Battle Royal. Though he wouldn't win the match, he would have notable scrapes with Jim Neidhart and Big John Studd, taking out the latter in a way that would be duplicated years later by Hulk Hogan and Sid Justice. That's right, the fridge helped inspire the Nature Boy Ric Flair to one of the greatest Royal Rumble wins of all time. Perry is the only football player in the celebrity wing at the time of this recording, which is kind of confusing considering his in-ring exploits have been outshined by guys like Mongo, like Bill Fralick, like Kevin Green, and of course by WrestleMania 11 main eventer Lawrence Taylor. Despite this, it's hard to argue against the fact that Perry was a major drawing force for the second WrestleMania. Having just wrapped up his rookie season with the Bears, the 300-pounder had unmatched charisma and popularity in the Windy City, making him a huge attraction for the Chicago portion of the event. Plus, it could be argued that bringing in a widely recognized athlete to the world of sports entertainment in the infancy of the 80s boom helped increase the mainstream cred of the Federation's superstars. Which could explain why these guys have been brought in recently. Sure, let's go with that. And this next part doesn't have much to do with why he's ranked in this position, but just look at how he was depicted in the official WrestleMania 2 program. I mean, fucking look at it, man. Number 6. Bob Uecker. Another man who helped bring legitimacy to the sport of sports entertainment, Bob Uecker remains one of baseball's most highly respected broadcasters to this day. So synonymous with his craft that he bears the nickname Mr. Baseball, Uecker has served as the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers since 1971. The witty and charming Uecker made his first Federation appearance at WrestleMania 3 as the ring announcer for the historic main event between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. And unlike his career as a player in the big leagues, Uecker would get picked up for another year, showing up at WrestleMania 4 to provide color commentary for that year's Battle Royal and serve as a backstage interviewer. His brief throttling at the massive hands of Andre the Giant that year is one of the most replayed moments in Mania history.
How about getting your foot off my shoulder?
Number 5. Pete Rose. The first celebrity inductee, Pete Rose is best known as being baseball's all-time hit king and the holder of 19 Major League Baseball records. Okay, well there's that and being caught betting on games as a player and a manager and his career ending in disgrace, but let's not forget the good stuff though. In a way, Pete's appearances helped define the wild nature of the Attitude Era, showing up at WrestleManias 14, 15, and 2000. As a special guest ring announcer, his berating of the Boston crowd saw him get tombstoned by Kane for his troubles to tremendous applause by the fans.
That's Pete Rose! That's Pete Rose! Pete Rose just got tombstone!
1 year later in Philadelphia, Rose came for revenge on the Big Red Machine disguised as the San Diego Chicken, baseball's equivalent to the Gobbledygooker. But his plan failed and Rose took another trip to Tombstone Town.
Another tombstone to Pete Rose!
Finally, at Mania 2000, the Chicken's return was a misdirection, a ploy to distract Kane while Rose came in swinging with a baseball bat. But not even that could slow down his much larger rival, and in the end, Charlie Hustle will be the victim of a chokeslam and a Rikishi stinkface. Kane and Rose's paths would keep crossing throughout the years, not just when Pete was a guest host on Raw in 2010, but even during a Halloween-themed pay-per-view commercial. What puts Rose ahead of other inductees on this list is his consistency and his reliability, not to mention the trust he put in the hands of the superstars who beat him up every year. Rose had an unmatched willingness to play ball, so to speak, that landed him in probably the only Hall of Fame he'll ever enter. Number 4. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Known by many simply as Arnold, this man is one of the biggest pop culture icons of all time. Given his importance to the world of bodybuilding in the 1980s and 90s, it's no surprise to see Schwarzenegger enshrined in a place that celebrates many other tanned, muscular, well-oiled men. In fact, based on his contribution to the fitness world alone, you could argue he's one of pro wrestling's most important non-wrestling figures. The former governor of California has made his fair share of appearances in WWE as well, his biggest being on one of the first episodes of SmackDown in 1999 when he backhanded Triple H in the middle of the main event. That episode was the highest rated of the year and remains the 7th highest rated SmackDown of all time, thanks in large part to his appearance. Things would come full circle in 2015 when Arnie was inducted into the Hall of Fame and introduced the game to the ring at WrestleMania 31, complete with a group of T-800s.
Judgment Day is here. It's time to play the game.
Arguably the most versatile crossover star to ever appear for WWE, his roots in fitness, film, and later in politics made everything he did headline news. There was a time when a Schwarzenegger seal of approval meant instant success, and for WWE, that partnership was good enough for them to put a ring on it. Number 3. Donald Trump. Donald Trump has a long and storied history with WWE and their flagship event. The partnership goes all the way back to WrestleManias 4 and 5, both of which were hosted at Trump Plaza in Atlantic City, though technically it was a nearby convention hall that didn't officially bear his name. The Donald would also appear at WrestleMania 7 and again at WrestleMania 20 in Madison Square Garden. There he was interviewed at ringside by Jesse Ventura, a conversation that I'm sure in no way affected the outcome of our current timeline.
I think that we may need a wrestler in the White House.
But without question, his biggest contribution to sports entertainment came in 2007. After Raw hosted a universally panned comedy match between a fake Trump and Rosie O'Donnell, the real Donald showed up and confronted Vince McMahon over it. This would lead to the much ballyhooed Battle of the Billionaires at WrestleMania 23, where proxies Umaga and Bobby Lashley fought to see which rich old guy would be shaved bald. And in the end, did we love Bobby? We did love Bobby.
And King, one of the great mysteries of life has just been discovered. It was Mr. McMahon's real hair all along.
Mania 23 shattered both buy rate and attendance records, thanks in large part to Trump's involvement with the show. It was such a success, the only way to beat it was a main event featuring John Cena and The Rock. Not everything Trump did in WWE worked out for the best, though, as made evident by the time he became the kayfabe owner of Raw for all of 1 week before stockholder backlash caused the company to pivot. But despite that small creative snafu, it's hard to deny that Trump has earned his own gold-plated spot in the Hall of Fame. Number 2. Mike Tyson. In all of boxing during the late 1980s, there was no one else like Iron Mike. Dubbed the baddest man on the planet, Tyson was unstoppable, until the unthinkable happened. In February of 1990, Tyson was set to be the special guest referee for a Hulk Hogan-Randy Savage match on Saturday night's main event. Fate intervened, however, when a relative unknown by the name of Buster Douglas knocked out the champ in a massive upset, not only winning the undisputed boxing title, but also taking Tyson's booking later that month. But Tyson, a lifelong wrestling fan, would soon find a way back into the Federation after committing one of the most controversial acts in sports history, biting off a chunk of Evander Holyfield's ear in the middle of their title bout in the summer of 1997. The despicable act forced Tyson out of boxing for nearly 2 years, which was the perfect window of opportunity for Vince McMahon. The WWF used the controversy to bring in some star power for their biggest show of the year, beginning on a January 1998 episode of Raw when Mike began brawling with Stone Cold Steve Austin, creating one of the most iconic moments in the show's history. Iron Mike was later announced as the guest enforcer for the world title match at WrestleMania and even became an unofficial member of D-Generation X along the way. But on that fateful night in March, he would count the 3 for Stone Cold Steve Austin in the main event, helping usher in the most profitable run of all time for the Federation. His appearance helped triple the WrestleMania buy rate from the previous year, which remains the company's lowest on record before the advent of the network. That's a hell of a turnaround. Tyson would stay out of wrestling for many years afterward, finally coming back in 2010 as a guest host on Raw, rejoining DX and knocking Le Champion on Le Canvas. In his heyday, Mike Tyson was the personification of the phrase big fight feel, one of the biggest draws in boxing history and a vital component to the WWF's success in the late 90s. Tyson's earned his place in the Hall of Fame for his knockout performance, both financially and literally. And the number 1 most deserving celebrity in the WWE Hall of Fame is Mr. T. Yes, in first place is one of the first headliners in the first WrestleMania main event. After working as a bouncer in Chicago, Mr. T became a bodyguard to the stars, eventually getting noticed by Sylvester Stallone and later cast as Clubber Lang in Rocky III. That movie also happened to feature a young man who was in between stints with the World Wrestling Federation by the name of Hulk Hogan. More on that in a moment. The giant success of Rocky III propelled T to a television career, playing the role of B.A. Baracus on the A-Team. He'd also get his own Saturday morning cartoon, motivational album, and even a breakfast cereal. At the same time, Hogan was just becoming the biggest star the world of pro wrestling had ever seen. Their previous connection to the Rocky movie was the catalyst for the Federation to reach out and bring Mr. T into the fold, making him a cornerstone of the Rock and Wrestling connection as the company hurtled toward its biggest and riskiest event to date, WrestleMania. Just look at the official poster, you can get an idea how much star power he brought to the event. It's just the name of the show, Hogan, Mr. T, and that's it. No sign of their opponents or any other matches, not even Liberace, Muhammad Ali, or Cyndi Lauper. When it came to who they built this show around, Hogan and Mr. T were essentially 1A and 1B, and nearly 40 years later, it's safe to say that marketing approach was the correct one. Mr. T's charisma and massive clout helped make WrestleMania the spectacle it is today, which in turn made WWE a household name. Even if he never returned to box with Roddy Piper or shown up at WCW wearing a silly hat, his impact in 1985 alone makes him the most deserving celebrity in the WWE Hall of Fame, and I pity the fool who disagrees. So, did I get the order right? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.